Well, hello everybody and welcome to a very special episode 8 of the BARC'ing Mad podcast. Yes, we are here in person at Silverstone, and let me introduce my BARC'ing Mad co-host, the exceptionally tanned Mr. Alan Hyde as well. Alan, how are you?
Well, here we are at the home of British Motorsport, and we are sat side by side for the first time ever doing the BARC'ing Mad podcast. Where is this going to...
Just proof that we really are here
Is that
together.
weird? Right.
That's really weird.
Maybe a tad weird, but much easier to do a live podcast for the BARC'ing Mad podcast. First series, we've talked about it all year.
We have,
and now we're here. It felt like the perfect fit because we're at the home of British motor racing here at Silverstone. It's the penultimate meeting of the year for the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. So essentially we have guests that can't get away. We can bring them in and there's no way they can leave. So this is
no excuses of signal going down this time.
Exactly that.
So.
We can just crack on and we have quite a lineup of guests today.
Yeah, we've got a lineup of guests. We've got something very special to reveal as well. More on that, our track. We'll come to that a little bit later as well. But Alan, how have you been? Of course, and you've got a very busy weekend here at Silverstone. You're here all weekend, aren't you?
So running. From a personal point of view, this is one of the trickiest rounds of the BTCC that I do, just because Silverstone has a long pit lane, so so the amount of miles that you clock up over the course of the weekend is pretty significant. Maybe on qualifying day 10 miles, 11 miles tomorrow. Maybe on race day it's going to be 8 or 9. But either way, Monday morning I'm pretty broken, to be perfectly honest. It's one of the longer ones.
Do you know the exact distance from the assembly area down to Parc Fermé here?
No, but I'm always late. So whatever happens, we came here. We were both here earlier in the year because we were covering the British F4 Championship when the British F4 Championship did the.
I was here for that as well.
You were here for that, and whenever they were ending up the session at the Parc Fermé at the top, I was always at the bottom of the pit lane. I never planned it correctly for any time they were out on circuit. I always get it horribly wrong.
Yeah, it can be quite a way, can't it? But it's what a treat to be here at Silverstone. I'm very much looking forward to it. Guests coming up. We've got the track reveal as well. Don't know about you, Alan. I'm feeling pretty BARC'ing mad today. I think we should get on with this.
I think we should definitely crack on. And the one thing that we didn't mention about Silverstone, what makes Silverstone so peculiar about the penultimate round of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, is it's the penultimate meeting of the year. So championship battle. Really exciting this weekend. But the best thing about this weekend, the thing that I absolutely adore, is after the final race, we do the podium on the circuit. So we have a mobile podium. It drives onto the circuit. Spectators are encouraged. So atmosphere-wise, it is second to none. We love this place.
I absolutely love it as well. But feet do get very tired. Right, it's time to get on with episode 8 of the BARC'ing Mad podcast.
Now, before we crack on with this exclusive live edition of the BARC'ing Mad podcast, we need to talk about our partners that have been with us throughout this first season of the podcast, and they're very valuable to us because it's time to save big on fuel with BP Fleet Solutions UK. Now, BP Fleet Solutions keep on delivering huge value for BARC'ing Mad listeners. They are now offering 8p per litre off fuel at 1,200 UK petrol stations across the UK.
Yes, they certainly are now. This exclusive offer for BARC members and BARC'ing Mad listeners saves you 8p per litre of standard and premium grade fuels. There's also significant savings to be made on electric charging too. This really is an offer exclusive to BARC'ing Mad podcast. And Alan, you're actually going to show me up here a little bit, haven't you? Because you have yours with you as well, don't you?
I have
your BP fuel card.
And I have a rather flash little holder for all my cards as well, but I'll just tease you. There we go. There's the little logo. Got it this week.
Brilliant. I'm glad that's what you pulled out your pocket. Right, there you go. Big thank you to BP, but we've got more partners as well. Now, it's not just BP who are one of our valued partners. Draper Tools as well run a little competition. They've got a mechanics toolkit worth £220. There's going to be a prize draw. All you need to do, if you're watching at YouTube, is just comment Draper Tools. So on YouTube at BARC, underneath this, right where you're watching it now, just comment Draper Tools and you can win a mechanics toolkit worth £220. There it is on your screen. Pretty fancy indeed. That's simple. That's all you have to do. Right, Alan, let's get on, shall we, with BARC'ing Mad.
Now, one of the things we've been doing all season here on the BARC'ing Mad podcast is asking all of our special guests from the world of motorsport to name their favourite corner of anywhere in the world. It could be anywhere on any race circuit.
I'll be looking forward to this, Alan. I'll be looking forward to this.
For the first time, although the people that have been, the very clever people that have been putting this into reality, they've been rendering the circuit as we go along the year. This is the first time I've seen it. And I have to say, it looks like a Nordschleifer-sized Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit because it is quite incredible. And I understand that once this is complete, it's going to be rendered into something that potentially we could virtually drive.
That is very true. We must say a big thank you to Driven International because what a job they have done on this. If you're watching on YouTube, you will be able to see it keep popping up on your screen. On the podcast, we're going to have to give our best attempt at describing it for everybody. It's quite long though, isn't it? There are 23 corners in total. It's 6.5 kilometres long. For those on the podcast, let's take people through it, shall we? Let's go on our own sort of virtual drive. Let's take. What car would you take round? You could choose any car. What car should we go? We have to go together though.
Okay. So I'll go with a BMW M4 track day car.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Nice. Yeah, that's fine.
Because then it would be, it would handle any corner and any straight. I would say quite happily and safely. And if I'm driving, you need it to be safe. So, so here we go. No, in fact, you drive. I'll sit alongside and just talk about you. So
it's going to take a while to get around the 6.5k. Then.
It's going to take quite a while. So turn one is Druids from Alton Park. Now, who gave us Druids from Alton Park? That was Joe Tanner that decided. Yep. So Joe Tanner is responsible for turn one. Great corner. Super corner, and then so then we go from Druids down on the run towards, and this is brilliant. This was from Matt James, wasn't it? The editor of Motorsport News. Down into Duffer's Dip. So the one thing that the render can't show us is the ups and downs. This is quite an undulating circuit.
Yeah. It is, yeah. Now, this is actually the first time we're seeing this. It's going to be in even more detail as well. We are going to have some more finer prints of it, so it is going to look really, really good. Where do we go next, Alan? Where are we heading up to?
Check this out. So you do the Duffer's Dip. Down you go, and where would you go next? I'll tell you where we go. We'll go to we'll have a huge long straight leading into Church Corner from Thruxton.
And that was chosen by Jade Edwards.
That was Jade Edwards.
And, we didn't push her into that one at all.
No, we did not.
They could choose any corner in the world.
It's just absolutely brilliant. I mean, so into Thruxton and the run into Church Corner, the run out of Church Corner is just sublime. And if you come out of Druids, a Duffer's Dip at Knock Hill, just brilliant. And then you go, so we come to the home of British motor racing. We go into the most awesome series of turns to watch a Formula One car, which is into Maggotts and Beckett's here at Silverstone. When I used to come as a spectator to the Grand Prix, I used to sit and watch Ayrton Senna blipping the throttle going through Beckett's. It was one of the most magical things I've ever watched. So to have that after Church Corner at Thruxton, just brilliant.
Alan, you know when you're a kid, this next section, by the way, you know when you're a kid and you make up an imaginary race circuit and it's so crazy, it's wacky, it's wild. Check this out. We've got Silverstone, Maggotts, Beckett's, turn 7, 8, turn 8, turn 9. Then we go into the Dipper at Bathurst, turn 11, 12. Then we go into the swimming pool, 13, 14. I mean, it's exhibition stuff, isn't it?
It is something else. This is a particularly... I think drivers would describe this as a challenging section of the circuit.
Not half.
Maggotts and Beckett's, into the Dipper from Bathurst, into the swimming pool complex from Monaco. It is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And now now we get into the twisty sort of, if we're looking at it in terms of it looks a bit like the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch, we're now into the
we're
sort
getting
of
into that GP bit now,
yeah,
aren't we?
exactly right.
Where are we going in turn 15? We're off to Goodwood here.
Oh, we are, which was the suggestion made by the Duke of Richmond and Gordon just before the Goodwood Festival of Speed. So great, we're going to Madgwick from Goodwood. Where do we go next? Oh, do we?
Yes.
We're going to
one of your favourite places.
So we're going to so we're going to Poe, which was from Marcus Simmons.
It
Marcus
was
Simmons
Marcus
that said that.
Simmons, yep.
This is from memory. I'm remembering this. That was
I'm actually impressed. We do have it written down in front of us, but he's generally remembering
our very first episode. And then we go into Knockhill the chicane. And I'm not looking once again. Was that John Cleland that said that?
Knockhill the chicane. I can tell you who it was. It was John Cleland.
There you go. So if you think I'm not paying attention during the podcast, you'll be absolutely wrong. And then we go into there's a lot from Knockhill here.
I was just about to say there is, isn't there? Because we've had Duffer's Dip, we've got Clark, we've got the chicane. Knockhill's clearly popular circuit. Believe it or not, I've never been to.
Have you not?
Nope.
You need to sort yourself out, Sunshine. It's an amazing circuit.
I'm from the south of England, and I often venture past Watford.
They will welcome you with open arms, as they always do with us. So where do we go? Knockhill, John Cleland, Duffer's Dip was Matt James. I can't see where the other suggestion from Knockhill was, but are we going to Clark Curve? I think that was Matt James as well, to be perfectly honest.
He did have a couple, didn't he?
I think he wanted two. And that pretty much. I don't remember this one though. Who suggested
we're coming
that?
out to turn 8 Istanbul Park. I'm not sure who actually said that. I think that might be a Paul or Ella special here.
Do you think?
I think so. I think
to make sure.
Paul,
so it's like
just to make sure it goes round.
Yeah, to make sure it joins up, you need a long curve section on a Scalextric track to
turn 8 Istanbul Park.
Finish up.
Turn 23 and a worthy corner. Do you know something we didn't do? We've asked all of our guests. I've never asked you. What would you have?
What corner I would have? So I'm with Jade Edwards. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'd have Church Corner from Thruxton, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, there you go.
Does that mean we can have a second church? How cool would that be?
That would be pretty special, wouldn't it? Yes, 2 churches, that would look good. Do keep your eyes peeled for that. A big thank you, of course, to Driven International's renowned racetrack driving course designers. They really have put this together. They've done an incredible job as well, and hopefully very soon you will be able to drive it online, so keep your eyes peeled for that. That's the track. More from that coming up later in the year. Alan.
So that's our circuit. It will be complete at some stage. The challenge is that we're going to be able to virtually drive it in a BMW M4, because that was my choice. Or should it have been a touring car? I'm stuck now. I don't know. Maybe it should be a touring car. Let me think about it.
Do you know what? Do you know what I would take round?
Go on.
Ford KA.
Would you?
No.
Would you?
There's nothing wrong with a Ford KA.
No, there's nothing wrong with it at all. And I'll tell you what, you could do it for 24 hours, mate. In which case, let's do it in a 2CV.
2CV, absolutely. We'll do a 2CV actually. Yeah. That would be so much fun.
That would be all right.
Right, I think it's time to get on with our guests.
I think we should.
Right, everybody, as you can see, Alan's jumped over to this side of the table now for a very good reason. What a treat this is to welcome...
To prove that we're still friends.
yeah, he really didn't want me holding his hand earlier, did he? We are still friends. We are still on speaking terms. Right, we've got 2 very special guests, the top 2 in the British Touring Car Championship, Jack Sears Trophy. Andrew Watson and Mikey Doble's with us over here as well. Andrew, let's start with you. Welcome, first of all, to the BARC'ing Mad podcast. It's lovely to have you here. You're the leader in the Jack Sears Trophy. Tell us about your season so far.
Well, yeah, it's been up and down. I've led it the first weekend. I haven't been in the lead since, so it's been so tight. But it's brilliant, you know. The top championship hasn't been as tight this year, so it's great. You know, people have said that to us already. You know, it's great that it's so tight, and this year has been a hell of a fight so far, so it's far from over yet.
Do you think that's helped then, Mikey? Come to you, I think you're about 14 points behind, aren't you, or so? But has that helped elevate the Jack Sears Trophy into the spotlight a bit more then?
Yeah, I think totally, because it's also the fact that there's it's not just Andrew and I really, but I mean within striking distance there's probably 5 people in total. So yeah, I think there's been maybe 4 or 5 people that have led the Jack Sears at some point this year. And you're not winning Jack Sears races finishing down in 17th, 18th. You've got to be kind of knocking on the top 10 consistently across 3 races to try and win it. So that just kind of is credit to the level of competition in the Jack Sears this year. And I think that anyone who follows British touring cars is not going to be taking note of what's going on in our championship.
Absolutely. Alan?
The both of you drive for CarStore Power Maxed Racing. What have you done with the third guy? What's Aaron doing today? Didn't he want to come? Is he being a dad? What's going on there?
Oh, he's too old for this championship, isn't he? He's too long in the tooth.
Outrageous.
No, he's attending all of his many hundreds of guests that are always here on a Friday and doing garage tours. I mean, I think you can hear his voice over the race cars actually, but yeah, he's back there at the moment. So
he's a good lad. He's a good lad. And joking apart, what a guy to have for both of you in your first season of the BTCC to sort of guide you through.
Yeah, 100%. I've said that in multiple interviews and stuff now. I think without him, there was moments that we were really struggling, or one car would be struggling and one car is doing well. So we always had a good reference point, and that was in those moments you can get really lost and frustrated and throw the toys out of the pram. But Aaron's been a really good benchmark all year, and his technique, I'm not used to a front wheel drive and Mikey isn't either, so we've had a lot to learn from his technique, and yeah, he's doing a great job and just a nice person to be around. And
he is
it's nice to have another Irishman in the fold as well.
but the all 3 of you, I mean, I've known you, Andrew, for some time. I haven't really known Mikey before this year. We've not really chatted, but you all 3 seem like jolly nice, normal, down to earth, grounded human beings, obviously until you put your helmet on, but I guess the 3 of you have had quite a harmonious relationship within the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think hopefully that's what everyone thinks. I don't know what people say when we're not around, but yeah, I mean, I think pretty much from pre-season testing, we've all sort of got on well, eat lunch together and go on track walks, and are happy to share information on driving and technique and everything, as Andrew was saying. So it's been good fun. We have a laugh, and everyone in the team generally gets on, engineers, drivers, mechanics. It's a nice place to be, really.
Can I tell you, Ian, something that you
Please
don't
do.
know about Mikey? Maybe you do know, but you cover golf quite extensively on television.
I do.
So this man wasn't just a scratch golfer; he was a scratch golfer and then some.
Yeah, I've heard, actually, we had a quick chat with Mikey off camera. You're going to give me some lessons. I think I need them. But tell us more about how you got into that, and then the transition, I suppose, or into motorsport. Where did you decide that I'm going to be a race driver instead?
Yeah, so I mean, motorsport's been in my family for over 50 years. Like, my granddad and his brother were very successful Grand Prix karts racers on the long circuit. So they've won Silverstone Grand Prix and Zandvoort and stuff like that. And then my dad obviously kind of followed suit, and was brought up around racing, and he'd done well in single seaters, and he's even raced on the Toka package himself before. So that was kind of my life has always been cars and motorsport, and always being at racetracks from the moment as far back as I can remember. So I did karting when I was very young, like from the age of probably 7 years old up until 13, 14. And yeah, I always played golf from a young age, but nothing serious. And then I kind of started getting into it when you get a bit older, you're old enough to sort of play on your own without adult assistance. And then through the school holidays, I just used to get dropped up at the golf club and just played relentlessly round and round the golf course until my dad come and pick me up on the way back from work.
So Mikey, you're one of these really annoying people. Remember at school, they were just good at every sport possible.
No, not really. It doesn't stretch much further than golf or racing. But
just a really annoying kid, so his parents needed him out of the house.
I didn't say that.
That's the longest sport that they have.
And cheaper than a creche.
Yeah.
There you go.
You should have stuck to golf. It would have been probably paid a lot better.
Yeah, well, definitely for the top percent. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I gave it a go. I went to a golf college. I got down to a +1 handicap. Played for qualifiers for the European Tour before when it was the European Tour, but. Racing was still sort of in my blood, and I wanted to get back out on track, and I think 2018 is when we bought my first race car in the BMW Compact Cup, and kind of started off from club racing and just developed from there. You know, last year we did the Ginetta, well, last 2 years we did the GT5 Challenge and dual campaigned that with the BMWs until I managed to win both championships last year. Pretty remarkable year, and kind of put us in the position to try and get into where we are now.
So, Andrew, did you have other sport options, or was there only ever motor racing?
Well, I do play golf, but I'm not going to tell you my handicap after Mikey told you his.
Oh, maybe we'll play then.
Yeah. Speak to me later. I mean, I think I played every sport growing up. I was one of those kids. I love sport. Rugby in Ireland is obviously a religion almost. So, obviously, with the World Cup going on now, I follow rugby the most.
Put your hat in the ring then. Ireland going to win it? Who's going to win it?
Oh, we got a big game against South Africa this weekend, so
huge.
You know, the world champions and world #1 team, so I'll be watching that on Saturday night. But it's going to be tough, but it's a great World Cup. It's great. It's France, it's got all that energy, and so I'm really enjoying that at the minute. But yeah, I mean, I started racing quad bikes back in Northern Ireland when I was 6, so that dominated. I never did the karting route. I did quad bikes and junior rally sprints in Northern Ireland, and then into the Ginetta Juniors. So never been in a kart or anything like that. So I skipped that phase, which a little bit different.
Have you now? Have you been in a sort of?
I've never been in
a gearbox kart, for example.
No, I've been in a Rotax Max. I used to race with Ben Barnacote, who I'm sure everyone will be well aware of. So he took me for a day in PF, and it took me like a week to recover, and I was like, "This is I'm too old for this now." So no, I no desire to go and race karts.
I don't blame you. Now look, let's bring it back to this weekend, of course, here at Silverstone. There's obviously a good relationship in the camp. It's very harmonious. We've spoken about that already, sharing of data, but with the title so close between you two, we obviously know when the helmets go on, it's a different kettle of fish. You're still going to share data and help each other out this weekend?
Well, I am. I don't know about Mikey, but yeah, I think we could end up beating ourselves a lot quicker than, you know, there's still 120 points on the table, and so, you know, we could end up getting in our own fight and tripping over each other and just screwing ourselves over. So, I mean, from my point of view, it's, eyes forward and business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's important to not get too caught up in the whole Jack Sears title kind of rivalry with just your opponents, and just actually race the race as it is, because kind of at Donington we didn't have a great weekend, and I think I certainly fell foul a little bit of almost focusing solely on Jack Sears drivers and kind of forgetting about the other 16 or so cars on the track. And I think actually you're better off just kind of racing the race as it is, you know, kind of trying to get the best result you can. And
Andrew,
then kind
I know what he's doing. He's playing with your head.
But obviously if Andrew comes by, then
there you go.
It must give the team a real lift though, both of you competing right at the sharp end, Andrew.
Well, I mean, Adam, I don't know what he said to you, but he said at the start of the year, he was like, one of you guys has to win this. So I think it was, it was always their desire. I think they've had 2 winners in the past, Josh Cook and Senna Proctor as well. So, they've got a great history of that. And that's what Adam said to me at the start. He was like, this team has, launched and built so many great careers, and they've been doing a great job to give us all the tools so far. So, for sure. We're still in the Independence Team Championship as well. So I'm 3rd in the Independence, just behind Aaron as well. So, there's a lot of things to fight for. But it's a very tight track here, and actually there isn't many overtaking opportunities. So it's all fine margins.
Does it feel a bit special coming to Silverstone? I mean, I've been coming to Silverstone to work for 30 years, and still as I come in through the gates, there is a certain gravitas, a certain grandeur to coming to Silverstone, the home of the British Grand Prix.
Yeah, I mean, you can even see like the amount of guests and sponsors, and everybody wants to come to Silverstone. So the garage, the facilities, everything. Obviously, we've got the BRDC here. We've got, for me, it is special. I haven't raced on this layout since 2014 or whatever, but it's still I really like the layout, and I think it's brilliant for touring cars.
It's great for touring cars.
Yeah, really. it's the racing's fantastic. So yeah, really excited about that. But yeah, you're dead right. There's nowhere like Silverstone.
Mikey, same question to you.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, I'd have to tend to agree. Like, I think as soon as you come over the bridge there and you look across at the BRDC clubhouse and the grandstands that kind of surround Lovefield and Woodcote, it's a very much a stadium sort of atmosphere. And I think the touring car layout is great. To have only 4 corners is perfect for touring car racing because, I think if you use the big layout here, you would feel a little bit lost out there, and I don't think us touring car drivers would be able to remember the whole track. But I mean, you've got a very compact racing. I think you still get pretty big crowds here. Even on this layout, and like you say, all the sponsors want to come along. Facilities are amazing. Like the paddock, the garages. It's so cool to sort of think about the amount of history that's occurred at this place in those garages that we're kind of sharing and using at the moment. So yeah, it's a great venue.
I think the other thing, as rookies, we don't get any testing. We have to do a lot of scrubbing, weaving, crossing of the tyres. So actually being such a short lap, I think for rookies it helps us because we get more laps. Places like Snetterton, you might get 5 laps in free practice 1, so that is tough. 10 laps before qualifying and you're expected to take it to the front. So yeah, I think this weekend it probably helps us.
I actually prefer it down here in the national pits. It has a bit more of a raw feel to it. Do you prefer it here than the wing?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think over in the wing, I've raced on that circuit once before. I've raced on the GP circuit a couple of times, but raced on the international once. And I think for Formula One it's brilliant because it's kind of got its own area and you're not crowded by the support racing and everything. But when you race over there in anything other than, I guess, F1, which we're never going to experience, it's
never
kind
say never, guys.
I heard Toto's watching the Jack Sears Trophy.
He's a big fan of the BARC'ing Mad podcast. That's not official, by the way.
But the place is set up for the national pits because obviously that's the original pits, so obviously when you drive to the international you've got to go all the way around the circuit, come across the bridge, and it's a great facilities over there. I just think everything's a bit big over there for anything other than F1, but over here it feels a little bit more at home.
Do you know the one thing that I think we should have done? We've missed a trick here. So we've talked about our virtual circuit, but we haven't talked about our virtual circuit to racing drivers to get their opinion.
Great point.
So
great point.
I thought what I might do is to just whiz this over here.
That's why you've got such a big iPad.
Andrew,
I knew.
So the thought has only just crossed my mind. So what we've done this year on the BARC'ing Mad podcast, we've been asking guests to come up with their favourite corner of any circuit anywhere around the world, and so far this is what we've come up with. Now, turn 1 would be Alton Park Druids. What do we think? That's a pretty cool first turn, isn't it?
Yeah. Scary. Pick that. Yeah, we'll stick with that. Yeah.
On to turn 2. What do you think of Duffer's Dip at Knock Hill?
Yeah, the Scottish Eau Rouge. I like it.
is that a good little run there?
Yeah, I mean, you could even take turn 1 and 2 from Knock Hill, to be honest.
Knock Hill has got quite a few entries, so bide your time.
There are other circuits, by the way.
And other circuits are available, one of which is coming up. Nice long run towards, so bear in mind you've just come out of Duffer's Dip and you're going on the run towards Church Corner at Thruxton. Good? Challenging?
Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer to be going through Church in second gear or third gear, but okay.
On towards, so we come to now, Mikey, your opinion of this, Maggots and Beckett's, which is a superb section here at Silverstone. Yeah,
I mean, I think Maggots and Beckett's on the GP circuit is one of the most iconic sections of corners in world motorsport. It's up there with sort of Eau Rouge at Spa, maybe the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. It's in that league. So yeah, I mean, it's a great shout.
We then go on to sort of quite a quirky section because we have the Dipper from Bathurst, we have the swimming pool complex from Monaco as well. Quite a challenging driver's section, I'd say, for that.
Yeah, I've been through the Bathurst Dipper probably thousands of times over 5 Bathurst 12 hours. So
cool.
I can verify that is fun.
That's something else,
it's dangerous. There could be a few yellow flags there.
Madgwick at Goodwood is next. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been through there in a in a Lotus 23, and it was interesting. So it was, Goodwood certainly should feature on here.
So what do you make of our virtual circuit? Is it a circuit that you'd like to get your teeth stuck into, or?
Yeah, I think we got to ring JP and Mr. Palmer and get him. It's maybe missing a few Le Mans tricks, but
so I added. I think on the last podcast,
you did.
I added the. What did I add from? Did I say the Mulsanne straight before the chicanes?
You did, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. And then into church.
Into church corner. That would be my ideal situation. Yeah.
That's because you're standing in the pit lane and not behind.
Correct. Waiting to see you come back and see how wide your eyes are. Very good. So this is going to be made into a virtual circuit that we can actually drive virtually at the end of the year. So it's quite a cool thing. So we probably ought to ask you, do you think, Ian?
I think we should ask them what they would add to our circuit. So Andrew, let's start with you. What would you like to add? I mean, this is actually set now, by the way, so we can't change this now, but just out of interest, what is your favourite circuit, favourite corner of any circuit? It doesn't have to be UK based, any circuit.
Yeah, I love the Indianapolis in Le Mans. It's really long straight, and then you've got a kink into then a banked hairpin.
Yes.
So that's really fun because you start to push the braking zone, and you have to lift in a GT car or whatever, but you start to push it, but because it's banked and you get it right, it's phenomenal. So you could pop that in somewhere.
Mikey's thinking about this. It's the third fairway at Wentworth. What's it going to be?
Not the third fairway.
Well, you haven't got Paddock Hill Bend on there, I don't think.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about that track is there's a lot of downhill plunges, and I'm not sure where the uphill's going to come.
Well, why don't we run Paddock Hill in reverse? So then you could climb up it.
Like the Hutchinson 1000
there
used to run there, yeah.
There you go.
So, it's a layout.
So Paddock Hill Bend is a really good shout. I'm surprised we haven't had that.
Mentioned it. My favourite brands actually is Graham Hill, because I think the first time I ever drove it, I got caught out, because obviously you go downhill, don't you? And you approach it with a little bit more speed than I realised at the time, and I wasn't experienced at all. So I took quite a bit of extra run off and had a little run in with the grass up there, which I'm sure everybody's done.
We don't even have a lack of experience to use as an excuse.
Well, that's a really good shout. Paddock Hill Bend is a great shout, but you're right. There's a lot of downhill things. Yeah.
I mean, the one that everyone probably says missing is Eau Rouge, but
Where would you put it, Andrew?
Well, if you want an uphill section, there you have it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Yeah.
Right.
Eau Rouge is very dependent on the car. Some, like in F1, I'm sure it's not much because it's just flat. Same with LMP2, LMDH. But in the cars that you've got to lift or brake a little bit, that we're all used to, it starts to get fun then.
Absolutely. Right, gentlemen, we do appreciate you joining us on the BARC'ing Mad podcast. You've got a very busy weekend ahead of you. Best of luck, of course. We will be watching. If anybody's watching this on the YouTube channel as well, do comment below. Wish the guys a bit of luck as well. I'm sure they'll be watching this back on the BARC YouTube channel, won't you guys? Looking out for the comments as well. So if you want to show a bit of support for Andrew and Mikey, please do drop a comment below. But we better let you go. Andrew Watson, Mikey Doble, best of luck this weekend here at Silverstone in the British Touring Car Championship.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right.
So one of the really cool things about doing our first live BARC'ing Mad podcast and doing it from Silverstone, the penultimate round of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, is we can persuade
We've had to do a bit of persuading.
a little bit of arm twisting to get the championship leader here, three-time champion Ash Sutton. It's great to have you here. Thank you for taking time out, because I guess you're pretty busy this weekend.
Yeah, it's very busy, and I can't get away with saying no so easily, can I? When you're the other end of the phone, you can kind of swerve through things.
Easy.
And I've got this on and got that on. But yeah, we're incredibly busy. The build-up, obviously, with the potential of being able to wrap it up. We got the contenders shoot and a few other bits going on, as well as personal stuff for the team. It's quite intense today, so even finding half hour to do this was quite tough.
Yeah, but you could ruin all of that. The contenders shoot, which we're meant to play in at the start of Brands Hatch, if you secure it this weekend, that's it.
I'll tell you what, it would be phenomenal to wrap it up, but at the same time, the likelihood of that is very low. It's takes a lot of bad luck from someone like Tom for that to even be considered. But We'll see. Let's take it to the last round.
Can I ask you? Do you come into this weekend? You've won the championship 3 times, for goodness sake. Do you still have the nerves coming into this weekend?
Weirdly, I've not come here with the nerves of the championship. It's more the nerves of going to the last round.
Right.
In my eyes, I've kind of written off the potential of wrapping it up.
Yes.
And it's about survival this weekend. Going there with still that nice points gap.
Yes.
So I want to leave here with at least 30 points still. We've got 12 points to play with in theory with that. So that's where the pressure comes on for me. I'm looking at that rather than, could I win it up and wrap it up?
Yeah.
No, I've
just
kind of
ignore
pushed that
that.
aside. Yeah, pushed it aside. Totally focusing on brands and making sure we go there with our best foot forward, basically.
Ash, do you find then that doing media bits like this that we're doing now, because we've seen certain high-profile drivers, Kimi Räikkönen for one, who wasn't a particularly big fan of his media duties, but with success means obviously you're going to be a wanted man, you're going to be in demand. Do you enjoy doing this type of thing, or do you see it as a bit of a distraction from the racing?
Look at the face, he hates it.
No, look, it's good. It's good. I mean, what more do I want to be sat here talking to you? No, I'm joking. It's good. It's kind of it keeps it real in some ways and keeps you proactive. You're not sat pondering on things and sometimes talking about it is good. So I'm more than up for doing this sort of stuff all day. That's all we've been doing. So I've got a few more bits to do this afternoon. But it's good. I can't complain.
Are you inclined to be a slight overthinker then? Can you overthink something before a weekend?
I mean, I play every scenario through my head. Whether that's classed as overthinking, I don't know. But you look at, especially more so when it comes to races, when you know who you're starting around, you start to play out.
You've always got the grid in front of you.
I have.
Yeah, that's been a feature that I've only noticed this year, but you always do.
I've had it from day dot. It's something that it's just a little refresh. These guys are around you. These are on this tyre. They've got this much hybrid and blah blah blah. So it's my last chance to take that snippet of information, lock it in, and use that as an advantage in the race.
So your real homework kind of guy then. Do you watch back previous races and have you looked at your rivals, shall we say, and watched previous races of them around here?
Yeah, 100%. Literally 2 nights ago, I was stood in the kitchen cooking away and had the touring cars from last year on the telly in the background, watching and studying the likes of Tom and stuff like that. So we've got a different package ourselves this year, but we're still putting in twice as much hard work. And whether it's been sim work this week, prep with my engineer Tony, we did a shakedown. I've literally lived and breathed British touring cars this week.
There was an interesting quote that came from both you and from Tom at Donington Park, I think it was, that you were learning from each other this year. I mean, so every day's a school day, isn't it? But that's a genuine thing, is it?
That is it. Every day's a school day in my opinion, and we're not the complete package. We're far from being complete in my opinion. There's always work to be done, and the bar gets raised every year. You hear the likes of Colin, who's been in it for a very, very long time, and you hear him say the bar's been raised this year, and it has. And it's us drivers in the background doing our homework, doing our prep, and the car's coming on, and you start building these packages, and suddenly it's like we've now got to find a couple of attempts, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do that. So I'm looking at Tommy even this year, not so much just last year's stuff. What did he do at Donington that was good? What did he do at Knock Hill? And assessing every situation, because you don't know when that bit of information could be useful.
Now, I know you mentioned the prep work that goes in. Simulation is quite a big part of it as well. You do quite a lot of that. I know you actually run a simulator as well, a company called Pure Sims.
Is this where you want a little ticker going across
yes,
the
I mean, if we can, let's just pause there and let this run across, shall we?
There you go. We could get you one without mentioning it, of course. But when you do your sim work, what do you actually do? Is it laps? I mean, you know the circuit already, I guess. So what is it you're actually doing? Are you running different modes? Are you running different cars around you? What sort of sim work do you do?
I'm not going to give too much away, I'll be honest with you. But if I sit back and look at what I've done, say, for this week, like you said, we know the track, we know the car, that's kind of common nature. Muscle memory is a key one. We want to be able to hit FP1 from the ground running. So instead of getting out there and going, just find my feet, spend 5 laps finding your feet, you've done that bit. So you can go out, you know your braking points, you know, as long as the car's going to be predictable, you can kind of get going straight away. The other thing is learning to use a certain part of your brain. And in some ways, you want to drive the car with 70 or 80% of your brain, and you want to spend the rest of that being able to engineer the car whilst driving it. So the way I teach myself to do that sounds real silly, doing your 3 times table. A times table that you don't normally practice, But when you're actually then driving the sim and you're doing your 3 times table, you get to a certain number and then you do it backwards. So your brain's doing something completely different.
Wow.
But you're actually driving the car to a certain standard. So my aim is to do that whilst being consistent, and it just programs your brain to drive naturally.
So this is quite interesting.
That is a small snippet.
So when I very first started working in television and was dealing with a director talking to me while I was talking, I couldn't do it. First time I tried to do it, I couldn't do it.
So you say that. I can't do radio interviews as well because you can hear yourself.
Because you can hear yourself
exactly.
back.
So I know exactly where you're going with this.
Yeah, it was such a... So the way that I taught myself to do it was to read a news bulletin, which I had in front of me, and to be playing Sky News in my ear while I was doing it, so that I wasn't repeating.
You're training.
So that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
You're training
your brain. You're breaking your brain down, making it work in different aspects. But that's a small snippet of what I do, and I know there's other drivers out there that have taught this and do this, but I'm not going to give too much away.
No, I've heard this before. They talk about capacity.
It is capacity. You want to be able to operate. You don't want to get in that car. You don't want to sit there and drive it with 100% capacity, because when you get into racing, you've got nothing left to go racing. You've got nothing left to engineer a car. So there's kind of common knowledge, which is why I'm quite open to admit how I teach myself that. That's what works for me. Other people might have different ways of doing it.
If ever I give you a lift, Ash, you'll realise that I don't drive with 100% capacity either. That's
we mentioned you're driving quite a lot, Alan. I don't think I'm ever going to get in a car with you.
No, seriously, don't.
I've noticed that you are always a passenger when you go to Knock Hill as well.
I'd much prefer to be a passenger, yeah. It's a much better, honestly, for everyone concerned, Ash, it's a much better option.
Now, Ash, let's talk, of course, about the championship. It could be wrapped up this weekend, as we know. If you do, what would it mean to you to get that 4th title and join the likes of Andy Rouse and Colin Turkington?
It'd be phenomenal. And the biggest thing there is being the first driver to ever go and do it in a rear-wheel drive car and a front-wheel drive car. That's the bit that I'm chasing right now. The 4th title, I'm not aiming to be my last. I want to chase more than that. So yes, it excites me, but it's being the first driver to go out there and do it in both.
You're a stats man. You like the numbers?
I like numbers.
Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, in some ways, but I'd like to think, whether it's my little boy that's growing up currently, to sit there and go, my dad achieved this in X amount of years' time, or I don't know, a young up and coming driver that looks at me like I looked at someone like Jason Plato, and you chase them dreams, you chase them goals, and if someone wants to go and chase that same goal that I was the first driver to do, then by all means. But for my name to be that stat initially is something that excites me.
I think your boy's going to be pretty proud already.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. That means a lot.
And it has changed your outlook on things becoming a dad this year, hasn't it?
It has, and I've enjoyed my motorsport even more, weirdly, and he just fills my life. Honestly, it's phenomenal, and love every second of it. He's here. He's only missed one round this year because obviously he was 3 days old at
no excuse,
at the opening round. So I
fairness.
mean, I couldn't really ask for him to be here. But the fact he was 2 weeks old and he was at Brands was something else. But he has completely changed me. He's given me a new lease of life. So it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I find weirdly, talking to you, it seems to have relaxed you. It's not an extra burden over the weekend. It's a relaxing thing.
I get where you're coming from with that, and I think that's an element of you're not so selfish in a way now. I'm not saying I was before. Obviously, I class myself as quite a sharing person, but I now have to put someone else first before me.
Yeah, wow.
So my whole life, my whole approach, everything has changed. That he comes first. You have to, whatever you're doing, does that help him?
Yes.
So you be more methodical and more efficient, and I feel like that's only then just rolled out in the way I approach my racing.
I remember you saying to me, I think probably after you won your first title, that I'm not here just to win one title. I'm here to win not the same amount of titles as the most titles ever won. I'm here to win more.
Yeah.
And you've just said that to me. So if you win 5, right? So you're going for 4 this year. Say, for example, you get to 5 titles. Do you go on? Do you make the bar higher for everyone else, or do you look for something else?
It's that Lewis Hamilton stat, isn't it? He got to 7.
Yeah.
Does he keep chasing it? How long does he keep chasing it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I got to 5 and there was another opportunity that excited me, would I look at that? For sure. I'm a driver that wants to do and go and explore multiple things. But the deal has to be right.
Yeah.
The deal has to be commercially right. At the end of the day, this is my job. This is what pays my income. So. There's so many factors. It isn't just a case of get up and go or stick around. deals have to be in place, and when you got a brand like obviously Napa Racing UK and
it's
and
pretty
them
cool,
around,
isn't it?
It's quite phenomenal, and if they're going to be sticking around, then I'd be silly not to as well.
You're going to be sticking around as well. Well, that's a joy for all of us that enjoy watching, because I have to say, this year you have been an utter joy to watch. I mean, it has been fantastic for us as spectators, and for you as a driver, it must be pretty blooming rewarding.
Yeah, you kind of have to pinch yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And me and my engineer have sat there, and yes, we went on this win streak, and I understand from a fan's perspective, it's not maybe as exciting, but potentially what's going down in history right now is going to be spoken about in a long, long time. But we sit there now and we go, we've actually just gone and achieved X, Y, and Z. And I think it's only going to really sink in maybe next year, in a few years' time, when you actually, when things aren't going quite smoothly, and you go, we took that for granted.
Yes.
That was a rather special moment in my career, and I'm just trying to enjoy as much as I can.
Good man.
It's the right way to go. You're in the moment at the minute, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly that.
Now, Alan, we've got our track, haven't we? We haven't shown Ash our track. We've been asking all of our guests for their favourite corner from any circuit around the UK, and it's been built out. So have a look at this. Alan will talk you through it, and you tell us what you make of it. In fact, we might be able to put it on the screen as well.
Okay.
So you start here, Ash. This is all fairly simple.
Yeah.
You go into turn one. So all of our guests this year have come up with their favourite corner.
Yeah.
And then we've put them
Merge
all
it all
together.
okay.
Put it all together. So you start with Druids at Alton Park. Good choice.
Yeah, fast corner.
Happy with that?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Might be a bit lively for a lap one, turn one, but we'll work that one out.
Well, look where you're going next, because you
Knockhill
come out.
Duffers.
Duffers dip out of there. Happy with that?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's calmed down by that point, but yeah, it could be. Again, that one
Safety
could be
car's
better.
out by now.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, we do that. If you look at Knockhill, that on a lap one is, and we get through there with 28 cars. We might have a couple go across the grass, but it's a phenomenal corner, that's for sure.
What about onto Church at Thruxton? How do you feel about that?
Will it be as quick as the real Thruxton? That's the question.
It's quite a run.
It is good.
They have designed it actually, Ash, to take the speed that you would approach the corner into
well, then
account.
it'll still be lively. As long as we've got the same characteristics, the same bumps and stuff like that in the middle of the corner, then we'll soon be living on the edge there, that's for sure.
Into Maggots and Beckett's from the Grand Prix circuit here at Silverstone.
You can't beat it. It's a phenomenal corner.
Bathurst, the Dipper.
One I want to drive.
I know.
It's something that I would love to go and do. Done it on the sim.
In a V8 supercar.
In a V8 supercar, of course. I'd be
you
silly
would,
not to. But to do it in real life would be phenomenal. So yeah, it's a corner that's known worldwide.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Maggots and Beckett's. Everyone knows of it.
Yeah.
And everyone talks about how cool it would be to do that out of Bathurst. So
good choice. What about out of the Dipper into the swimming pool complex at Monaco?
Again, if it's tight and the barriers are up against the white line, then it could be interesting. It depends whether we've got any car left by the time we get to there.
Well, it would be fascinating.
Yellow flags in every sector. So
the circuit goes on. It's a great thing that we've done this year. If you were to pick any corner, is it one that we've already gone through on this virtual circuit, or would you have something else? Anywhere in the world, Ash?
That's a real good question.
It's nice, isn't it?
That is a good question.
To be honest, it's made up most of the content of our podcast this year, so it is a good question.
You caught me here. You've caught me with this one. I'd quite like Vallelunga.
Oh, nice.
In Italy.
Right.
You go through, it's like a turn one, turn two is like a fast left, fast right, and then it goes into like a double right.
Right.
But it's banked. So you can, from a driver's perspective, it's really good to drive because you can barrel loads of speed in.
Yeah.
That'd be quite nice to throw in. I think whether they class it as turn 4 and 5, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, no, I know the section you're talking about. Yeah,
before you get onto the long back straight.
Yeah.
That's quite a cool corner to drive.
That's a really good call, because we've had nothing approaching that this year.
Obviously, don't get me wrong, a couple of what I would pick are already in there. That's why I've gone with this one. But
so my choice, Ash, was the Mulsanne straight from Le Mans without the chicanes. So from 1989.
We need to think about gear ratios here, Alan.
And I'd quite like you to go to church from there. Is that okay? No. Okay. Right.
It's going to be a difficult setup, I think, isn't it?
Could be exciting.
Yeah. It could, just before we let you go, just a quick reminder, if anybody's watching on the BARC YouTube channel, please do drop a comment in, show a bit of support for Ash as well. I know you'll be looking at it later on YouTube, won't you? So please do drop Ash a message of support in the YouTube chat.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you,
it's been a pleasure.
three-time champ, who could potentially this weekend be a four-time champ. you've had a brilliant season. You've taken time out on the penultimate meeting of the year before the weekend gets underway to have a chat to us on BARC'ing Mad, and we really appreciate it.
No, it's been a pleasure. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed listening.
Thanks, Ash.
So pretty cool to hear from a 3-time champion on the edge of being a 4-time champion, Ash Sutton, here at Silverstone for the BARC'ing Mad podcast live. And don't forget to invest less in fuel and more on winning. The BP Plus fuel and charge card can be used at 3,400 locations. And don't forget, the card can be used by anyone. So if you're filling up the team trucks, heading to a circuit as a spectator, or aiming for victory on track, there's a saving to make on standard and ultimate grade fuels.
Yeah, very well said indeed, Alan. If you haven't signed up yet for the BP Fleet Solutions card, then do head to www.bp.com/BARC, B-A-R-C, where you can find all the information on this exclusive offer. If you need help, hit the callback button on the website and the BP Fleet Solution UK team member will be in contact. Also, the link for that is in the text accompanying this on the BARC YouTube channel as well.
So that's it, our first live podcast for the BARC'ing Mad podcast. Goodness me, what a year it's been. We launched the podcast, we've had some amazing guests, and now we do one live from the home of British motor racing here. And that's a pretty good first season, isn't it?
It's gone well, hasn't it? I've really enjoyed this as well, Alan. It would be great to do even more. When it, fortunately, Silverstone, I don't think it's too far for either of us, so it has worked out quite well. Incredible guests, but of course, this is episode 8. Episode 9 in a couple of weeks. You know who we've got on, don't you?
I do. It is someone that many of you will have known from ITV's coverage of Formula One when ITV were carrying Grand Prix live. The commentator James Allen, he has gone on to be a president within the Motorsport Network. He is a hugely knowledgeable motorsport journalist and a really interesting guy and a very good guy to chat to. So I expect that it's going to overrun slightly on the next podcast. He's got a lot to say.
I'll tell you, so I've got a lot to learn as well, I think, from him. I'm very much looking forward to that. That's going to be in about 2 weeks' time or so. And don't forget, if you are watching at the BARC YouTube channel, please do hit subscribe and drop your comments. But I really hope you've enjoyed episode 8. I know I have. I've got a feeling you have as well, haven't you?
It's been absolutely brilliant. What is not to like? The penultimate meeting of the year for the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, and here at Silverstone at the home of British motor racing. It's been a dream.
Well, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from him until next time. It has been a real treat here at Silverstone. Thanks for watching, everybody. BARC'ing Mad. It's time to go watch some racing.